Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and today I'm going to tell you very quickly about glycolytic activity on keto and what people don't tell you the truth about. So basically, a lot of people will tell you that you can't do glycolytic activity or that in general, keto dieting is not suited for anything that's high intensity. And this is wrong. So I'm going to explain this and the rest of the video very briefly. So if you follow several other people on YouTube who talk about keto, they will often tell you that you can't do certain types of activity on a ketogenic metabolism. This is completely wrong, and I have 7+ years of experience with numerous types of activities on a ketogenic metabolism. My main ones are going to be bodybuilding and sports, and I've been doing lots of different carb manipulation tactics for different games, and it's not as if I play every single soccer game on a keto metabolism, but I do prefer to do that now, and sometimes I'll carb backload, or I'll have a targeted keto game day, or maybe I'll train. I've done soccer games on 2 or 3 day fasts plenty of times, and it's no problem as long as there's other conditions in place like proper hydration, proper electrolyte consumption, plenty of other things that can fit into this giant puzzle. The problem is that most people on YouTube will tell you, because of their lack of experience with manipulating this puzzle, that you simply can't do carb intensive or glycolytic activity. So what is glycolytic activity? It is activity that is very high intensity, carb intensive. This is the purpose of carbohydrate fuel. It's quick burning fuel. That's a luxury fuel source in nature. Now, this is often confused or tied together with anaerobic activity. So anaerobic activity means any activity where you're not breathing during the movement, okay? So this could be 1 or 2 rep maxes, right, in the gym. This could be sprints in the field, right? There's a lot of other things that this could mean, but it's activities that are quick burst activities which don't permit breathing, okay? So I will start off by saying, in the beginning of a keto diet, you have very diminished capabilities of doing anaerobic activity. You have very diminished capabilities of doing anaerobic activity before your body gets adapted. This has been proven in the studies, but here's the thing. As I always say, most of the studies tend to cut off before fat adaptation takes place. So you'll have, 4 to 6 week studies, at most 4 to 8 week studies on carb individuals and keto individuals. All the keto individuals, they didn't feel good and they didn't perform as much as the carb group. Well, of course, they've been doing keto for 4 weeks. They're not even adapted. They've been doing carb dieting their whole life, okay? The thing is, our body is very easily meant to transition into keto metabolism. If you think about it, no carbohydrates grow in the winter. Fruits don't grow, grains don't grow, starches don't grow, vegetables don't grow, and any of those items are not really ripe for longer than a few weeks. So in nature, there's a very strong argument that most parts of the world would have our metabolism being seasonal, and I have videos on this as well. So, keto metabolism is a very easy thing for people. It's not a stretch of the imagination by any means that our metabolism is meant to bounce back and forth. So when we're talking about studies of individuals on a carb metabolism versus keto metabolism, if people are given a few months, and it's incredible that that's all it takes for our body to get very effective at using fat again, all that takes is a couple months, and then from there we see these benefits of glycolytic activity being performed with better intensity. And how is this? Well, carbohydrate fuel, like I said, is a luxury. Fat is a slow burning fuel. But here's the best way to conceptualize this. Fat is like gasoline, carbohydrates are like NOS. You're not going to fill an entire car up with NOS, but gasoline can still get you to 200 kilometers an hour. It can still get you pretty fast. You can get a gnarly speeding ticket with gasoline. It's your body's preferred fuel. This is why we store so much fat and have such small amounts of carbohydrate stores. Basically, there's no more than 2,000 calories worth of carbs stored in your body compared to the seemingly endless amounts of fat we can store. So essentially, there's a very strong observation-based reason that fat is the preferred fuel, and under that conception of gasoline and NOS, you understand, okay, use carbs in the quick burst situations to get you out of a pinch, right? Or to get you that last, repetition on a big set, right? That's what carbohydrate fuel is meant for. It's emergency fuel, and fat is set to cover 90% of other activities you do. It's a slower burning fuel source, but if you have a good amount of it, you'll always be able to burn some. It's like a thick type of wood in a fire. It's going to burn for a long time. Carbohydrates are like the quick spark, okay? So back to glycolytic activity. Studies have shown that on a ketogenic metabolism, VO2 max goes up, so maximum oxygen uptake. This is basically your body's ability to use oxygen during athletics. So this is huge, and I'm going to be making a video on this soon about why scientists should be just losing their mind about this, because everything in your body runs better when you have better oxygen usage. Your mitochondria, which is the bacteria part of your cell that does all the work, runs and thrives and lives on oxygen. This is why if you hold your breath, you'll die. Well, I don't think that's actually possible, but you get the point I'm going at there. If you don't have oxygen, you die. And with better oxygen use, you're dramatically 1,000 times better, okay? So better oxygen usage and also better carbohydrate and better fatty acid usage. This is huge, okay? These are huge factors, and you can look up you could use the Google machine to look this up and verify it, or you can watch my other videos where I have the actual evidence presented instead of just observation-based reasoning here. But there is plenty of other proof on my other videos, and this is something that science has never been able to refute. We know for sure VO2 max goes up on a ketogenic metabolism. So when you couple that with better usage of fat and carb, and some of the other studies that exist out there that show that even 1 rep maxes, sprints, other activities have been fueled by a mix of fatty acids, even for 1 rep maxes. Even a part of that rep has been fueled by fatty acids, and then creatine, and then glucose, or glycogen, whatever the exercise was. Basically, we know that your body is able to use multiple fuels. It's not black and white. Even though there are certain fuels your body prefers to use for certain activities, your body is capable of using a variety of these fuels in appropriate ways when you are metabolically flexible. The requirement is simply that you get to that metabolic flexibility by pushing through the keto adaption state. Okay, real quick. I was editing this video and I wanted to throw this in here because, the video is no longer going to be a brief video, so I lost that battle, but this is very important, and this is going to be an important video. Essentially, one fact is that a lot of the highest level athletes are capable of performing past a hypoglycemic state. So basically, they're able to perform past a low blood sugar state. Oftentimes, when you're training and your blood sugar drops, the body almost receives it as a signal that, okay, we're tapping out because we're low blood sugar. Meanwhile, you probably have plenty of glycogen stores left over, or at least a good amount of them left over. So the best athletes in the world are capable of pushing past a hypoglycemic state because their body adapts to this low blood sugar state, right? That's how you can perform better towards the end of a game sometimes, even if you've pushed it to the limit throughout the first 90% of the game. So that is a characteristic of elite athletes. And when I'm talking about implementing this keto metabolism into place, this is going to make you absolutely gain an improvement in your ability to perform in a hypoglycemic state, especially if you slowly implement this, as I will be explaining shortly. So, characteristic of some of the most elite athletes in the world is the ability to push past a low blood sugar point, and I'm going to give you a general idea of some ways to implement this. So that is the main takeaway here. You have to get keto adapted. So how do you implement this, and how does an athlete implement this? This is the reason why I made this video, because of what this strategy is that I'm about to tell you. Basically, let's say somebody trains basketball 3 times a week, okay? 2 training sessions in a game day. Start doing some training sessions in a ketogenic metabolism. Obviously, you're not going to hop into a big game day 2 or 3 weeks into a keto diet because your body isn't going to be as flexible with its fuel sources. And also, for some people, it takes a little bit longer than 4 weeks. It could take up to 8 weeks to get better at using both types of fuel. There are other considerations as well. You can watch my other videos on example why athletes will need more protein on a ketogenic diet, because a lot of times people will spout off that keto is a low protein diet. And let me tell you, if you're an athlete, you absolutely do not want to listen to this. This is categorically false, because a certain amount of protein is going to turn into glucose in your bloodstream. And it's going to be appropriate in its amounts, but if you're somebody who is doing lots of activity, you're going to need a better balance of ketosis and extra carb fuel in your blood. So eventually this will go to muscle glycogen, right, via gluconeogenesis. But what I'm saying is certain athletes, even though there are other caveats to this, right? Like getting enough protein, getting enough hydration, enough water, enough salt, sodium, electrolytes, okay? There are other considerations involved, but this is absolutely possible. And the generalized way you do this would be start doing a couple training sessions. Don't hop into the championship game after 4 weeks of keto dieting, even if you've done it for 9 weeks, okay? Don't hop into the championship game if you never trained in such a manner before. You have to start training your body in this state. Hope this has been coming out right. You have to start training your body in this state to get the best results on game day, okay? Don't hop into an outcome intensive day, right? Don't hop into the semifinals, the playoffs, something without any practice. You have to train your body and give it practice just as much as you would need practice for any activity. Your body needs to adapt to these stressors, and it needs to start getting used to, okay, clearly we burn through this much glucose in a training session. Let's get things going and get that threshold a little bit higher, okay? So in general, start training your body slowly on the less outcome dependent days with a ketogenic metabolism. If you're just beginning, start using some strategic carb manipulation and carb up days, for example, on the game days, right, when you're getting adapted, but then keep keto as the baseline. You want to slowly adapt and move into this, and this is often a barrier for a lot of people because they think, oh, I have to give up basketball, I have to give up hockey if I do this again. You don't, and if you're willing to put in the time and get adapted for a couple months, your performance should be astronomically higher. And I know that's how I am personally. I prefer to do every game in a keto state. And in fact, it's at a point now where if I have like a family event or something like a big dinner or something before a game day, I'm low key like, damn, like, really wanted to go into this one fully ketogenic instead of having, whatever dessert my family members made. Okay, my nonna made, whatever. So that's the point of this video. Over time, there are a wide variety of benefits to achieve from this. It simply takes that work up front. And the best way to navigate those waters in the beginning part is to start slowly implementing the training sessions with the keto metabolism. And then, of course, if your body's used to carbs, use carbs on those game days. But over time, start doing more and more and more and get your body deeper into that end of the pool. That's it for this one. If you want more proof or evidence of this research, look at my other videos or use Google, use the Google machine. But beyond that, leave me some other questions and comments about stuff you want me to talk about in future videos. Once again, Anthony Romano, peace.